Well, welcome everyone. Welcome to Laketon Bethel, to our video audience. Good to see you also. My name is Sherwin. I'm the pastor here, and just to let you know, we have two services every Sunday, one at 9, one at 11. You are welcome to join us. And today's topic is no critics for Christmas. So some people have families that specialize in affirmation. Well, you get together with those families and you can see that wherever they meet, whatever the reunion time is, it's just a soft place for everybody to land. Like everybody's affirmed, things are going good. People listen to you without giving advice. Your values reinforced because everybody there is just accepting of the fact that all humans are flawed, so you're taken right in. You feel forgiven for anything you might have done wrong. And when families like that get together, everybody feels grateful to exist. And I know we're all from families just exactly like that, right? Now, most families, not so. Most families have a lot of put-downs. Where you go to a family reunion, you're reminded of your flaws, and you're put down in every possible way, criticized for everything that you do, insulted even for who you are. And people from these kind of families dread holidays with family get-togethers. And that's just a fact. Now, my extended family can sometimes be just a little bit critical. If you're watching me on video, get a shoehorn because this shoe's going to fit. All right, but no, what happens is sometimes they get to those family reunions and discussions get a little heated, and I play hooky. I just go play with the little kids, or I play with the dogs. This is from about 10 years ago where I was just playing dog whisperer. There's always plenty of dogs around, and my brother had a lot of cooked bacon in his fridge, so I was good friends with the dogs. But you do hear that. Families can be critical even if they're just kidding. It's still there. Just a few weeks before my dad died, he looked at me and he says, I hoped I'd live long enough to see the day that you get a good job, but I guess that's not going to happen. And then there's other things. I get criticized by my non-church-going relatives all the time about how I run the church. Now, they don't set foot in a church, but they know how to run one better than I do. And, it's interesting. The generation before me were religious critics. Now, my generation is not nearly as religious, but they're still just as critical. And it seems like that has gone on. When I go to those things, my hair's always wrong. They don't like how I wear my hair. They don't like it that I have a beard, how I raise my kids, what I drive. You don't drive a Toyota Camry in Sioux County, Iowa, okay? What you drive is not, and what I believe in. Whew. So I'm clearly the black sheep of the family. And I just jokingly say I just go back there to be reminded of my flaws. And not all of them are like that. But a lot of families are. And that means that there's a lot of folks around that are not sad if they can't attend holiday gatherings. Many have never felt accepted by family. Now, wouldn't it be nice if we all had families that were a safe place to land? And maybe some of you have a family like that, but maybe you don't. And you dread the get-togethers, and Christmas is right around the corner. Fortunately for me, my son is getting married. It's on Saturday, so I haven't had time to worry about Christmas yet. But that's just one of those things. Now, many of us are going to be reminded of our flaws in the next few weeks because of these family get-togethers. Is there a cure for unpleasant family gatherings? Well, if there is, I haven't found it. All I can do is make sure that I'm not one of those critics. I have to make sure that I'm not the one who's making people miserable with what I say. So if I go to those reunions, or whatever you call them, festivals of misanthropy or something, you go there to serve. And it's actually kind of fun. Go there remembering that you are called to be a representative of Jesus. And that changes everything, how you approach it. Now, Jesus had some things to say about being critical, and some of it is unpleasant. But in Matthew's summary, the Sermon on the Mount, Jesus does say some things about this, and here's one of the main things that he says. Do not judge others, and you will not be judged, for you will be treated as you treat others. The standard you use in judging is the standard by which you will be judged. Now, at first glance, this doesn't seem true. Because you cannot judge judgmental people and they're still going to judge you. They're still going to put you down. They're still going to come after you. So at first glance, this doesn't seem true. Don't judge and you won't be judged. Come on. But in context, it makes sense. Because just earlier, Jesus was talking about how God will judge you in the same way that you judge other people, your family and your neighbors. He said this just a few paragraphs earlier. He said this, if you forgive those who sin against you, your heavenly Father will forgive you. But if you refuse to forgive others, your Father will not forgive your sins. So there you have it. Now, I didn't come up with this. I'm plagiarizing Jesus here. Okay? No salvation without forgiveness. And we had best take that seriously. We need to figure out who we got to forgive and do it, whether they deserve it or not. Because you don't deserve it either, and neither do I. See, grace needs to be passed on. And the interesting thing that Jesus indicates here is that you will be judged based on your standards of judgment. So and then Jesus illustrates it like this famous illustration of his. And why worry about a speck in your friend's eye when you have a log in your own? How can you think of saying to your friend, let me help you get rid of that speck in your eye, when you can't see past the log in your own eye? Hypocrite. First get rid of the log in your own eye, then you will see well enough to deal with the speck in your friend's eye. This is basic stuff and we can all understand it. So I've had several discussions just recently with people who've come up with something that is so common. I'm not going back to church because the church is full of hypocrites. And I always go, yes, and I was born yesterday. I hadn't heard that one before. But it's a very common one, and I have my standard answer to it. Yep, you're right, but we've got room for one more, so why don't you join us? But here's the fact. I've been judged by religious people more than any of you have. Try being a pastor in the two most conservative classes of the Reformed Church. I've been judged a lot. And there have been many times I've considered just bagging it. So I'm going to go back and be over-the-road trucker, make more money that way anyway. I'm going to go do it. And I was talking one time to a fellow by the name of Lester Kuiper. He used to be a teacher at Western Seminary, and he was a terrible golfer, but he loved to golf. And he golfed with people that former members here who are deceased, like Jack Orquist and folks like that. He actually golfed with, but Lester, one time I went to him, he's an 82-year-old man who taught at the seminary. Every year, one of the classes would put him on trial, file charges on him because he was teaching, not the way they had perceived that they wanted it done. So as somebody who had reason to be bitter against the church, but I said to him, I'm going to quit. I'm done with this. I'm not going to put up with this anymore. And he said, well, okay, here's your choice. You can feel sorry for yourself, or you can serve the Lord. Yeah, that's what this boils down to. You can feel sorry for yourself because people are nipping at your heels, or you can serve the Lord. You can feel sorry for yourself because you believe that some people are hypocrites, but listen here, bud, you're just as big a hypocrite. So it's your choice at this point. It's impolite to smack an old man, but I seriously considered it at that point. Because, he was telling the truth, but it kind of hurt. You can serve the Lord or feel sorry for yourself. It's one of those. See, Jesus' message is clear. Stop judging. It's like you've got this log, this big piece of wood in your own eye. So then don't worry about the dust that's in your friend's eye, or your brother-in-law's eye, or your sister's eye. This is especially true for families. Stop picking at them. There's plenty of people outside of your family that'll pick on them. You don't need to do that. You deal with your own flaws. So let's put this passage in context. Just a few verses ahead, we see Jesus teaching this, which I think is one of his most important teachings. He says, treat others the way you want them to treat you. That's the crux of his teaching. And I don't think there's anyone who doesn't understand that. It's very easy to understand. So you all have coming up Christmas parties. There is very few things on this earth that I dislike more than going to Christmas parties. Maybe watching soccer. But hey, the Netherlands won, so we don't have to pretend we like soccer anymore. But yeah, Christmas parties with coworkers. Oof. Christmas parties with friends with obligatory attendance. And then the big deal, Christmas parties with relatives. And some of these people that are coming to those Christmas parties right now, right today, are plotting on how they're going to put you down. They're thinking about it. They have one-liners all set. And the only way you can stop them is to not go. But then you'll probably worry about what they're saying about you. How do you handle this? Can you stop it? I don't think so. Human nature, pretty much the same as it was for thousands of years. But here's what you can do. You can make sure you're not one of those critics. And when they criticize you, just don't respond. Don't ever defend yourself, because that just puts gas in their tank. You follow the teaching from Matthew 7. Don't judge them back. Just let it go. Now, if you do this for the first time, they're going to turn up the heat. See, because they're insulting you because they want a reaction from you. Critical people are 99% of the time very manipulative. So if there's no reaction, they're going to turn the heat up for a while. And then eventually, if you don't react, they'll go look for another victim. They'll look for someone else to put down. They'll leave you alone. But always follow Jesus and don't attack back. Many critical people have deep problems of their own that they're simply not dealing with. And most of these people will not change no matter what you do. And some of them have justified it so much in their minds. Oh, I'm just trying to be helpful. Yeah, just try to be helpful somewhere else. Okay? But we can't say that sort of thing, because then they'll take us out of the will. And no, the thing is that most people will not change no matter what you do. But you don't have to be one of them. You don't have to play their game. Be the ones who follow Jesus and treat people like you want to be treated. And it might not change them, but it will change you. And you'll be a better person for it. Now, Jesus demonstrated that for us by treating others right. He gave the ultimate sacrifice. And we're going to remember that right now in the sacrament of the Lord's Supper. So I'm going to say goodbye to the video audience and invite you to join us for the sacrament of the Lord's Supper sometime. We have it on the first Sunday of all the even-numbered months. This is first Sunday of December 12, so hence we're having it. And thanks for watching.